Very good. Okay, so welcome everybody. So this is our fourth Step into Competition webinar. And this tonight is Step into Endurance. So what we're going to cover tonight, first of all, we're going to do an introduction to Anna, who's joined us tonight. Then we're going to talk a little bit about what endurance actually is. And we'll talk about the competitive opportunities within endurance, specifically, obviously, the ROR series and ROR competitions. Then we'll introduce the ROR Step into Competition clinics. And we are very lucky to get some of Anna's top tips. We'll make sure that everyone has the right contact details for anyone within ROR to so that you can get hold of the right person if you have any questions after this webinar, and then we will be answering your questions at the end. So I'm going to hand over to Anna now, who's going to do a quick introduction. I feel bad that you're introducing yourself,
It's
but
quite all
you're
right.
far better off talking about what you do than I am, because I have to say I probably will learn just as much as everyone else on this webinar tonight.
Good. That sounds good. Thank you very much. Thank you for asking me to come and talk about a subject which I absolutely love. So I'm going to try not to run over on time, start telling anecdotal stories. I'll try and stick to the script. Um, but first of all, a little bit about me. So, you know, what gives me the right to even be here. I'm no coach. But in 2017, I was the ROR Elite Endurance Champion on my boy there, who's my second retrained racehorse. And I'm just currently working on my third. So I'm no coach, but by experience, I guess, I've done the volunteer coordinator role between, excuse me, Endurance GB and ROR, with the support of both organisations, John Hudson on Endurance GB and Anne for ROR. And I sort of just sit in the middle and try and make things happen, really, and try and give people opportunities to enjoy the sport that I love. And you'll find out why I love it soon, I hope, and why former racehorses are absolutely brilliant at it. So I've got over 3,000 competitive kilometres under my saddle, as it were. We measure rides in kilometres, not miles. I'm also part of the Endurance GB Marketing Committee, and I'm on my local group as a vice chair and do their PR. So a little bit of me. Won the championship in 2017, as I said, which came then with quite hefty prize money, and I felt very guilty because my horse had cost me nothing. So I said, how can I pay some of this back? You're a charity, so that's how I ended up getting involved on a voluntary basis. You've got a volunteers thing coming up soon, so everybody volunteer, please. Can I have the next slide? Thanks. So lots of people say they've heard about endurance, don't really understand it. It sounds a bit scary, and I think I'll stay in my school where I feel a bit safer. So I'm going to talk to you tonight about why it is just one of the best things going for horses. It was actually invented by Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, who you will know, no doubt, from Godolphin and Maidan racing. But he invented the sport, and he's got a mega endurance village in Dubai and several sites over here. In fact, he trained his team in the summer in Newmarket. You probably will not know about the hidden endurance training facility that they've got slap bang in the middle of Newmarket, which has got miles and miles of tracks that they train their European team on. So yeah, he's very much linked to racing. It's one of the 16 FEI bodies, and over the season, which for us is about March to October, there's around 70 events all around the country. In addition to that, there's the Scottish Endurance Riding Club, which also hold Scottish rides. I am less familiar with that side of the or that part of the country, but can talk about their series as well. So uh, in England and Wales, as it were, it's split into 23 local groups. So I've been trying to map that onto how that kind of works with the RDOs, sort of working in regions, and it sort of works. So I'll tell you more about how you can get involved with your local group soon. And those rides cover pleasure rides, non-competitive, just simply going out there and enjoying it, enjoying the countryside. Maybe a 16-kilometre, which is a 10-mile ride. All your horses will be fit enough to do that. It's a walk or trot, you know, for an hour and a half. It's just a hack. You get a rosette for doing it. What's not to like? Then up to the national events, as we call them, and they might be single or even multi-day events. So some of our bigger rides on the calendar cover 3 or even 4 days. Some people ride on all of those days. And they're held in forests, moors, beaches, bridleways. There might be a little bit of road work or tracks, but it's car free, it's horse friendly. It just allows access to some of Britain's amazing countryside. I don't know if you noticed on that first picture on the first slide, but that's me up at the top of the Long Minded, Shropshire. It's a big climb to get there, but just when you get to the top, it's epic. I'd rather do that and go around to school. Sorry, I do that too. It's nothing to be scared of. Once you know how it works, and if you could go with the next slide, I'll start to describe some of that. Essentially, it's a test of horse and rider fitness. Both horse and rider need to be relatively fit to do it at low level, over varied terrain and distance. And horse welfare, safeguarding the welfare of the horse is absolutely the linchpin of it. It's not first past the post, so it's not a race. It's all absolutely about how fit your horse is. So you are competing, if you like, against your own levels of training and fitness. This makes it a really friendly sport because you can be riding with your best mate. Talk a little bit more about that later, but ride with your best buddy, chit chat along the way, help each other get maybe unlost. I call it temporarily misplaced. I never get lost, I'm just temporarily misplaced. But then at the end of the ride, you've ridden together, had a great day out. You may beat them because your horse is fitter at the end. I'll talk about how that works in a minute, but it means it's a really sociable sport. So you get a set route over a given distance and within a time frame. And there are different distances, different routes, and therefore different time frames to compete within. And that depends on whether you are a newbie, a novice, or then you progress to being open level and then further on to being an advanced rider or horse or combination. So training your horse for the level that you want to compete at is just a brilliant way, I think, to help you to better understand them, their personalities, their fitness, and it's just brilliant bonding time. If you imagine you're going to go out and do a 3-hour ride, you're probably with your horse for 8 hours of that day. So you really do get to know them, what they like, what they don't like, and how to manage them, which is the fascinating bit for me. Have the next slide, please. So before the ride, people often ask, how on earth do you train for endurance? That must be, you know, some undertaking. It's really kind of not. As I said before, a 16-kilometre pleasure ride is a 10-mile hack. You could all do that tomorrow. So you train for the distance. If you were to do a 22-kilometre novice ride, ridden at 10 kilometres an hour, say that's 2 hours and 10 minutes at a trot or canter. And I'll talk about getting rhythm and speed in a bit. But if you then were to ride it a little bit faster, you're looking at doing it in a shorter amount of time. So training for that distance, because the season starts in March, I start in the new year walking. You know, we go out for a walk, go out for a hack. We might then start to introduce some hills. We might start to do a bit of interval training, and you know, between this tree and that tree up there, we'll do a really spanking trot, and then we'll slow down and get our breath again. So you build up very slowly. And probably only I school as well. I'm a huge fan of schooling for an endurance horse because it really helps with that self-carriage and cadence. So I might school once a week or long rein, do a bit of variation in between, might have a jumping lesson or a flat lesson, and probably ride at the weekend. And that's it. And then once you've started your season, actually doing the rides keeps them fit. So that's sort of training in a nutshell. My ultimate test, I've got a friend in North Wales with a very steep hill nearby, about a mile. If we can trot up that hill, we're ready to go endurancing. But I ride at 40 kilometres, or even that over 2 days, so I'm doing 80. So before you get to a ride, let's talk about before the ride. When you enter online, you'll get instructions emailed to you about how to get to the venue. There'll be a venue layout map, what 3 words instructions. It's really very well organised in terms of knowing what your bib number is, your rider number, and your vet time before you get there. And you'll get your map and ride instructions before the day. So what I tend to do then before the ride is, based on the speed that I'm aiming for, is to have a look at that map. It helps if you've got a little bit of map reading knowledge. So I'll be looking for, but ride at a higher level, I'll be looking for things like, where are the big uphills going to be that will slow me down? Where are the big downhills going to be? Sorry, big uphills going to be that I can get going up. Big slopes where I'm going to have to slow down. What kind of terrain is it? And also, really importantly, according to my speed, where do I want to be and when on that map? So there will be what we call crew points and checkpoints. So for example, I will think, well, checkpoint A is 10 kilometers away. I know I'm going to ride at 5 minutes per kilometre. So in 50 minutes, I want to be there. It's simple maths. You do it before you go. It just really helps on the day. Then when you get to checkpoint A, you look at your watch and think, oh, I'm right on time. Oh, I need to speed up a bit. I need to slow down a bit. It's not science. You can use GPS watches and phones and all sorts of things, but that's about as difficult as the map reading gets. So can I have the next slide? Thank you. And then when you get to the event itself, people say things like, oh, the venues must be quite overwhelming for a former racehorse, or do they have a mass start? Is it like when they start racing? Are they going to run away with me when they get grass under their hooves? It's actually quite a lot calmer than that. It's a bit underwhelming. There are a lot of horses there, a lot of people milling around. Most people will be walking their horses about in hand, letting them have a bit of grass, getting ready for the day ahead of them, really. Arrive in good time, register with the steward. It's like any other event. Collect your bib, you'll get given ID tags, and just settle your horse. Let them have a munch, see their mates, give them something to eat or drink after a long journey, perhaps. Just make sure that they are ready to go. One of my tips is get everything ready for when you get back, when you finish your ride, so that you're not suddenly rushing around trying to find your big water container, or where have I put the drink, or where's my banana. Just make sure everything's ready for when you get back. And that the reason for that will become clear as well in a bit. Complete your vet sheet, which will be given to you when you sign in, which is your details, your horse's details, the class that you're riding, and anything that you want to let the vet be aware of before you present to the vet. So you'll have had that vet time sent to you. It is important to be prompt, because the poor ride organizer will have choreographed the day and made sure that people get out in intervals. So it's not a mass start. People tend to start in pairs, maybe threes. Some people like to ride alone. It's very relaxed. There'll be 5 minutes, 10 minutes even sometimes between riders starting. Excuse me. Some of my tips as well for vetting would be wearing a bridle with a bit in it for more control. And you also have to get checked by a farrier. So no boots on legs or creams or unctions when you're being checked by the farrier. they really only have a look to make sure your shoes are on tight. There's no raised clenches that might give them an injury. They might tighten clenches for you, or even refit a shoe if the cue's not too big. I always carry a £10 note because that tends to be what they charge for a refit. I've known people actually know that their horses have lost a shoe before they leave home, knowing that the farrier will refit it before they go out for the day. So, you know, how many other disciplines do you get a good old vet check and farrier check as part of your entry fee? Not many. And for barefoot horses, and there are a lot of them, particularly Arabs, they might wear boots, and it's okay to wear boots to be checked by the farrier, but they'll check your feet if you're unshod. Next slide, please. And then it's off to the vetting, which is that's actually the scary bit of the day. It's the bit that even seasoned riders hold their breath for. But it is an opportunity to get your horse checked at least twice at an endurance event. So before you start your ride and when you're finished. The way to do vetting, if you like, is give your vet sheet to the steward that will be there with the vet. You can rug your horse, take it all nice and snuggled up, especially if it's an inclement day. But you have to take that rug off for trot up. So the vet really gives your horse a good feel all over, back, legs. They might do a pinch test, check metabolics, make sure they're hydrated. They might squeeze the gums, look in the mouth, look in their eyes, might even look in their ears. It's really just a good observation and check for any soreness or anything that's presenting which is making the horse uncomfortable. And then this is where we hold our breath. They then take your horse's heart rate over a full minute. My God, that minute, it lasts hours. It really does feel like forever. So a tip again is practice getting your horse to stand still. Most former racehorses have been regularly vet checked. Maybe not out in an open space though where there's a lot going on. So get to know your horse's resting heart rate. Get to know how quickly your horse recovers after exercise. And their beats per minute have to be lower than 64 to start an endurance ride. And then it's the trot up. So you've got to be able to run and trot your horse on a nice long loose rope so the horse's head and neck and all of it really can move freely and the vet can see it. Slow down to a walk for the turn so you don't overbalance it, doesn't trip up over itself. Same as you would for any vetting, horse to the inside so the vet can see it. Get yourself straight and trot back in a nice rhythm. So what obviously the vet is looking for is a nice even gait and soundness. Any sign of lameness at all and you're not going. This is where horse welfare really is at the heart of endurance. So even minor limps, anything at all, you're not going riding. Nothing worse than being spun, as we call it, before a ride, going home, doing the walk of shame, back to the horse box. And then you start your ride within 30 minutes of vetting. So take your map, know where you are on the route. The courses are always marked, either with chalk, biodegradable arrows and instructions on the ground. Sometimes there's little boards of instructions hammered into the ground. Maybe that's that's where a route splits. And sometimes markers sort of hanging in trees and hedges and things. And we get saboteurs. People move them, people scrub them out. That's why I say always know where you are on your map, because you might need to retrace your steps to the last marker to work out where you're going. Another tip is follow the markers for your class. So quite often people feel temporarily misplaced. They're not lost, remember, they're temporarily misplaced. And they follow some horses they can see in the distance thinking, that's right, they'll be going the right way. They might be doing the 160-kilometre class. You don't want to be following them on the first day. Likewise, hoof prints on the ground. People go, look, there's some hoof prints. That must be the right way. Well, they were the people that were lost 10 minutes before, or even that rode there yesterday. So what I'm saying really is ride your own ride. Mind your speed. Just keep checking your speed. Make sure you're not going too fast, ironically, but you want a nice rhythm, nice cadence, suitable for the terrain. We have checkpoints where you will get marked through so that the ride organisers and everybody back at the venue know where everybody's up to. It's good etiquette as you pass through a checkpoint just to shout your number, make sure that you they know that you have passed through. It's your responsibility to do that. So if they haven't heard you or haven't clocked your number, and they say you did not present at that checkpoint, then you didn't complete the route. So that's not good news. We also have crew points as well as checkpoints. So if you're lucky enough to have some people with you or to borrow some mates, or even borrow somebody else's crew, lots of people do that. That's where you stop for a little pit stop. Let the horse have a drink. You have a drink. Maybe you need something to eat. Quick visit behind a bush. And what we call sloshing. So you always know endurance riders, supermarket, they're the ones in the fabric conditioner aisle looking for the wide neck bottles. It pours, we use them, probably chuck the fabric conditioner away, use the bottle whilst mounted to pour water over your horse's shoulders, neck, and if they'll let you, their rump to cool them down. You'd be amazed what this does. It really is like a pit stop, like a new set of tyres. It sort of refreshes them and then off they go again to get them cooled again. So practice that at home. I've talked about riding in a rhythm suitable for the terrain. So if you get, as in the picture there, some nice wide grassy tracks, then have a canter, enjoy being out for the day. If it's a stony track or a downhill slope, then you're going to want to steady up a bit. I would say at this point as well, something about etiquette. So endurance rides absolutely are not like those charity farm rides that I avoid like the plague. The ones where there's a group of pony club kids that gallop past you at top speed, or maybe the hunt's out training and they're jumping the biggest fence they can find whilst you're just trying to get your horse to calm down. In endurance, we are very, very polite and helpful to one another. So if you approach some riders from behind, you're going faster than them, we would always shout, is it okay to pass? And probably we'd say on your left or on your right. And it's okay to say, no, it's not okay to pass me. Just let me get my horse settled. It's a new one, or it's a novice. You know, could you just walk past or wait till there's a wider space? So we really do look after one another and use tail ribbons. So if a horse is wearing a green ribbon, it's a novice, we wouldn't trot up to it. We're very conscious of new horses, new riders, new combinations. Red is for kickers, and we give 2 horses distance for a red ribbon because we know how far those legs stretch. And stallions wear blue. Another thing we do as well is nearly fall off our horses saying thank you to people, thank you to walkers, thank you to drivers of cars, thank you to anybody who steps out of our way, because often we've got permissive access of the route and we want to be able to use that ride again. We also, of course, want people to think well of anybody on horseback, so we are uber polite, most of us are viewing. You're called in front of a disciplinary panel, actually, if you're not. So, it's in the rules. It's in the rules that we are nice. When you finished your ride, don't forget that's the enjoyable part. You present back to the vet within 30 minutes of finishing, and there's no farrier check at the end, but you'll probably be given a time slip as you come over the finish line. So they know what time you finished. You need to know what time you finished. You've got to present to the vet within 30 minutes. Some horses like to be sort of, I don't know, cooled off quickly, walked around briefly, tack off, and they go straight away. They're the super fit ones, or perhaps the ones that get stressy and the heart rate goes up if they're around waiting. But this is the bit that fascinates me, because this is where you get to know your horse and managing their heart rate, bringing it down within that 30-minute time frame is fascinating. And you need to know whether, does it want to walk around? Does it prefer to munch? Are they hot or cold runners? So we know about specifically thoroughbreds, and some of them are naturally hot runners, and free sweaters. So they're going to want to be cooled off quickly, and you need to cool those big muscle groups for recovery and getting that heart rate down. It might be a really horrible day, and actually you want a nice fluffy rug on and keep them nice and warm. Generally, it's about cooling them for recovery. We're not cleaning them, we're cooling them. So we pour water on them, make sure it comes into contact with the skin so we don't scrape it off, and we just keep pouring and touching the horse and feeling, is it cooling? So it's not sort of like, I don't know, a wash off after a eventing or something. Well, no, no, because they cool. Yeah, it's all about getting those big muscle groups cooled down and getting them also to drink, rehydrate, and then some more. So getting them to drink is really important. We all have different ways of doing that. We sort of might have a buffet bar selection, knowing what our horse is like, whether that's plain water that's got to be from home, not the venue. Maybe some apple cordial in it, maybe some actual apples in it. Sugar beet is another good one. Saracen's recovery mash, they must have made a mint on that, because actually all endurance riders, horses, sorry, and riders probably, horses love sticking their noses in that banana flavored mash. So we make it really, really fluid, really, really liquidy. So they've got to drink to get to the bit that they want to munch at the bottom. Check your heart rate before you present back to the vet is a good idea. It's not why have I put optional? It's not compulsory. But this is the bit that's interesting to me, is knowing what you are doing and what effect it is having on your horse's heart rate, and learning over time, different events, different weather, all of that kind of thing, how quickly your horse recovers. Don't forget to look after yourself. So you might have just done a 3-hour ride. Don't finish it on a banana, a fag, and a cup of coffee. Get yourself some food and hydration, because you want both athletes when you're doing an endurance ride. So you repeat that vetting process that I talked about earlier. You need a beats per minute, less than 64 again to actually pass. And then there's a very odd formula where your speed, your distance, speed, distance, time you took, and your horse's heart rate within 30 minutes goes into a formula, and that gives you a grade. And with grade comes points. So you might have heard endurance riders saying, I got a grade 1. You don't hear them saying, I got a grade 4. But grades 1 to 4, and then completion. And that formula then gives you the points, and it becomes a bit like a Formula One calendar, where across the season you go into different rides, picking up points as you go. And so throughout the season, you collect the points. And at the end of the year, they're all added up. And that's where you get the kind of award winners from, because it's about the amount of events they've done over the year. Bear in mind, the more events you do, the more likely your horse is to become tired, possibly start to show some lameness. So it's a really fine balance between pushing your horse, giving them enough rest between rides, and we have compulsory rest periods as well between different ride distances, and keeping them fit throughout the season. Next slide, please, Lee. So it's good for the rider. It's super brilliant for your horse, but a rider does need a reasonable fitness level, I would say. It can be a long day, particularly if you've driven a couple of hours to the venue, sorted your horse out afterwards, and then you've got to drive home again. An endurance ride was once described to me by somebody who said, I couldn't sit in that saddle that long. How long do you ride for? So I said, 3.5 hours. I said, but it's more like actually doing 3 hours of squats. So you don't sit in the saddle for 3 hours, as you'll know, we tend to post. So it's a little bit sort of a long-legged position where we're up out the saddle, light racing, its weight more towards the shoulders so the horse can move freely underneath us. Obviously we do sit down. Obviously we do lots of rising trot, but posting is most comfortable for everybody, and it's much better on your thighs than 3 hours of squats. You've got to be able to run for the trot up or bribe somebody else to do it for you. So it tends to be, I don't know, 50 yards, the distance there, and then the distance back again. But you've got to trot at your racehorses. Trot, nice free trot speed. That's why it's important to manage your own hydration and nutrition at an event. You also get riders who will do particularly things like Pilates, strengthening exercises and exercises for your core, which are good. But anyone can do it. So if you're talking about a novice 22-kilometre ride, I'd suggest that you're all fit enough, absolutely fit enough to do that. Even Sam Whaley-Cohen, so there he was having a go at the Golden Horseshoe in when was that? A couple of years ago. And of course, you'll hopefully remember him from winning the Grand National in 2022. So we've had quite a few jockeys actually. And somebody was telling me the other day, I don't know if John's on the call, Desert Orchid did an endurance ride. So there we go. Can I have my next slide, please? I'm quite often asked, well, do I need any special kit? Sorry, my headphones have fallen off. Do we need any special kit? We, see endurance riders in their funny trainers, multicolored tights. You don't. You don't for as long as you're comfortable in a sort of GP saddle, your usual tack, your usual clobber, as long as it's suitable for the weather, that's where the discomfort comes from. We lady endurance riders spend hours talking about appropriate pants. So, as long as you're comfortable, that's what matters really, and especially if you're going to get wet. And a note on that as well, we always tend to get wet because don't forget we slosh our horses when we're ridden. So I can't tell you the amount of times I've chucked a bottle of water all over myself by mistake, which should have gone on the horse, but they suddenly decided to spin round. Riding tights, they're dead fashionable now, aren't they? They were invented for endurance. I remember, 26 years ago, getting the right Mickey taken out of me for wearing what looked like tights and funny little trainers and chaps. And now you're all wearing them. So we were trendsetters. There you go. Those all-terrain boots with zips up the front are really comfortable. You do need a boot with a heel, and chaps tend to be more comfortable than long leather boots, really. And also, don't forget you got to do all that running for the vet. You might have to hop off and get a gate open. So just being nimble is a bit better. Endurance saddles, there's lots of them. You don't need one. There's mine, my lovely, I'm a Wintec ambassador, so I've got to do this bit here. There's my Wintec Endurance Pro. Actually, it's really comfortable, and you'll see it's got great big knee rolls and thigh rolls, so I can stand up in that for hours, dead comfy, dead wide, big wide load-bearing space, because don't forget the horse has got to wear it for quite a while. Slosh bottles, I told you about the fabric conditioner bottles. The United Arab Emirates teams, particularly Maidan, actually come with pallets and pallets of Evian in the bottles. I didn't understand this. I just thought it's because they were uber rich. When I was lucky enough to go to the endurance training yards at Newmarket, they were telling me they use Evian because they like the shape of the bottle. It's got that little indent in it, and it makes it easier for them to pour it. Yeah, anyway, lots of stories about them. Brilliant, it's brilliant. So I've talked about the buffet bar of fluids, trying to get some fluid back into your horse, rehydration, and some people use electrolytes. I don't really think that unless it's a scorchingly hot day or you've done it an incredibly long distance and your horse has sweated a lot, you probably don't need electrolytes. And then what's really useful is a heart rate monitor. Yes, you can buy very expensive ones or a bog standard stethoscope that you can get for about 30 quid. I'd suggest you should have a stethoscope in your first aid kit anyway, because you should all know what your horse's heart rate at rest is, and therefore when it's raised if they're a bit poorly. Go on, Ali. Yeah. So my tips for endurance are really to teach them to ride in a rhythm or cadence that makes them work efficiently, so they're not wasting energy, because this is all about fitness and recovery levels. So to get them just bowling along in a nice rhythmic trot, they feel like they're with their works buddy, just out, doing normal works at the yard in the morning, traveling along, maybe a bit of a canter when you can, walk when you need to, stop for a rest at a crew point. Simple schooling maneuvers. So I'd said that I do schooling and have flat lessons. That's because I think you need them for endurance. So you need to be able to turn on the haunches or the forehand to get through a gate. You need to be able to do a leg yield to get around a parked car. You need to be able to all sorts of dressage movements help to give them that suppleness and self-carriage that they really do need for endurance. Other things that you perhaps need to practice with a former racehorse rather than an Arab or a cob is things like being tied to a trailer while you sort them out. They, as racehorses, they probably won't have done that. They'll have always been attended to in a stable, whether that's at the yard or at the races. They probably never learnt to stand still while you get on. So the jockey will have been thrown up while the horse is moving, whether that's in training or actually getting on in the parade ring. So they're the little quirky things I think that former racehorses need to relearn or learn for the first time when you start doing this. But it's the same for any discipline. It's all that sort of new routine, new things to do. They won't have been through big muddy puddles, low-hanging branches, streams, fords, some of the weird places that we ask them to go. But they soon get the hang of it. And I really do think they enjoy themselves doing endurance because they've got that freedom to just be themselves and with the, riding along with their mate. And they love it. They just go along with their ears pricked and have a really fun time. Little couple of quirks with a thoroughbred though. They are obviously a bit taller than the average Arab or hairy cob. So being able to remount on course is useful if you've got to get off to perhaps open a gate or perhaps to, I don't know, I always carry a hoof pick. So sometimes I have to hop off and perhaps just remove a stone out of a shoe. So I've got to be able to get back on again. But it's usually a friendly person. You can either bribe a dog walker or most of the gates that need to be open are manned on the course. So you'd probably be okay. I've talked about knowing your horse's heart rate. Practice at home. Just do it out of interest. Anyway, if you've had a half an hour lesson in the school, see what your horse's heart rate is 15 minutes afterwards. It's really quite interesting. I think one of the shortcomings of thoroughbreds are their feet. That's the advantage they certainly don't have over the hardier types. They were not bred for that kind of terrain. So good farrier, good feed, maybe even consider pads. One of mine has graduated heart bars with pads on. It means he can go endurancy. He gets reverse rotation because he doesn't grow any heel, but he still does thousands of miles. So it can be overcome if managed well. Ali. Just conscious of the time. So the RoR Endurance Series is a pathway right from a pleasure ride. So that's not competitive. You don't get vetted, or you might just get a soundness check, through to a novice award, team competitions. We have special awards at our Red Dragon, which is one of our flagship events in South Wales every year. We've got Endurance 7, which is where you can see there on the chart key points where you've covered certain amounts of distance and had your distance card signed. You can claim for vouchers off RoR merchandise. So this has been really popular. At 50 kilometres, if you can show me that you've done 50 kilometres, I'll pop a rosette post to you. All the way up to having completed 1,000 kilometres, which a few people have done, and that'll take over couple of seasons. So This is the long game. You might only want to do a pleasure ride. That's fine. That's great. You'll get a rosette. There's also with Endurance GB something we call the Boston Bay Cup, which is for thoroughbreds who haven't raced, who are in training or sorry, who've not raced or been in training, but just a registered thoroughbred with Weatherby's. Of course, then we have at the end of the year, all the points get added up, and Endurance GB have their own Retrained Racehorse Award at their awards ceremony in November each year. And then that person goes on to collect the Elite Endurance Performance Award at the RoR Awards, which are epic. And then when you join Endurance GB, you'll be allocated to a local group. So they may have a top thoroughbred class or a horse that's done the most pleasure rides in one season class. All sorts of different opportunities for rosettes, trophies, which are the meaning of life, aren't they? Have a look at the website though for the endurance series. And then this year, especially for Step into Endurance, we are looking to hold RoR classes, is that the right word? Not really sure. Opportunities for you to join in at the Novice Foundation ride level, where there is a class of around, it's probably going to be around sort of 20 to 25 kilometers, where you can join and register as an RoR and therefore be in your own group for the results. So it's like a mini competition within that category, just to get people started at competitive levels. So it doesn't matter if you've done endurance before or never done endurance before. Those are the rides where, subject to confirmation, there will be an RoR class. And we are aiming that before people go out at the event ride, we'll give you a little briefing at the venue. So questions you might want to ask, a bit more about what to do and when. It should be a supported event. Obviously, because of the nature of endurance, this was much harder to organise than, say, somebody going out doing a dressage clinic. So this is the way that we're planning to host it. And if you get addicted and do several novice rides, then we'll see if we get enough interest. We'll extend it over the whole season and therefore have an RoR Novice Foundation champion at the end of the year. So something to aim for. Ellie. Just some examples here of some of our former winners and former racehorses enjoying endurancing. There's about just short of 50, I think, competitors in different stages, whether they're doing the Endurance 7, aiming for Elite, or the Novice Champs, but they're all having a lovely time. Look, every single person smiling in those photographs, so it must be good. Ali, come on. So, if you want to find out more, there's oodles of information out there. There's the RoR website. Contact me by email, endurance@ror.org.uk. The Endurance GB website has RoR pages, loads of stuff on Facebook. Make sure you look for your local endurance group as well as your regional RoR group. Get that the right way around. And there's loads and loads of people willing to help. So if you join EGB, which is next slide, there's there will be a local group that you will geographic group that you will automatically get assigned to. So in order to participate in the Novice Foundation RoR series, the Step Into series, you would need to join EGB and make sure you let them know or take RoR as the club, as we call it, that you're in. There are 3 levels of membership. You'll be allocated to your local group, which has got loads of pleasure rides, clinics, training opportunities and all sorts. And don't forget to register with RoR to compete at £25 a year, and make sure your Weatherby's passport is up to date with you as the owner, and that your flu jabs are current, because you can't go to an endurance ride unless you've uploaded a current and valid flu jab vaccination record. I've talked too long. I knew I would.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Thank you so much, Anna. I'll just leave the ROR contacts up there for a moment. We do have questions coming in. That was brilliant. Thank you, Anna. Let me start from the top. So, Janet, and this is actually a question that I've written down as well. So thank you, Janet. Is the washing off or cooling water usually available provided by the ride organisers at the finish?
We normally take it with us, to be honest. So those big water containers, I'm doing that. Fill them and take them with you. Also, we would usually fill our slosh bottles and take them with us. If there is a tap at a venue, and some venues do have water on site, it's usually because they're in a field. we don't sort of tend to be at riding schools or things. We're often in a field. It's a dribble of a tap, and it's hopeless. So that's why we don't rely on them. And also, it takes time to fill them and cart them about. It's far easier to just fling them in your trailer or your truck before you leave home.
So if you're out on your ride and you want to cool your horse when you're
Okay.
at the crew stops,
Yep.
is that water that you have previously filled into your bottles?
Yes, and you would, whoever is crewing, and you
Mhm.
get lovely people who will crew for lots of riders. I've got like a big crate. It's an old supermarket type of crate with my 6 filled Lenore other fabric conditioners are available bottle. I'll have my tub of recovery mash, and I give the crate to the crew person, and or he, everybody's in the back of the car, and they will drive to the crew point, meet you there, and your stuff is then ready for you. If you've got good crew, they've already taken the tops off the bottles, they've taken the lid off of the drink, because you're still against the clock in a way.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
yeah. You take as long as you need, but you don't want to waste time there.
yeah.
And also they'll have your whatever, your flapjack or your drink of Ribena or whatever it is. I actually carry my water on my horse. I've got a water bottle holder. And pockets are usually full of goodies to snack on.
Cool. And sorry, I'm asking questions now. The crew point, they're designated on the ride, are they? It's not just a
Yes.
random point that somebody's going to meet you at.
No, they're always designated because there are a lot of them, and so they might fill up a lay-by or cause an obstruction. So sometimes they're off the road in a field, or in a suitable place. Crewing is as competitive as riding. So there's an annual best crew award, but they get, because on their map they have to go round the roads to get to the crew points. There might be 2 or 3 or 4 on a ride. So they're driving a different route to the one that you're riding. So they all get competitive about who's got the best spot at the crew point. And are they going to get there before the rider, and all sorts of stuff they do, because they've got to sit there and wait for the poor
Yeah.
people to come on the horse. So it's a community of its own.
Wow, that's fascinating. Nigel has also said that milk bottles do good as well instead of the Lenore bottles.
They're not bad. They only hold a litre, and they are not wide-necked enough, so the water doesn't
Right.
come out as quickly. It's
Ah,
like,
okay.
what you want is that wide-necked slow pour, not a big glug glug glug, which is what
Mm.
tried it. What glug 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 goes the milk bottle. You don't want that.
No glugging. Okay,
No
fine.
glugging.
Noting.
They're all right. Milk bottles are all right, and they're a bit flimsy. What you tend to do, you throw in your water, poured your water on your horse, and then you chuck the bottle on the ground for some poor crew to pick up. So they don't bounce well, either milk bottles.
Um, Sarah has asked, are the mileage awards for the endurance series lifetime, cumulative, or annual?
Uh, Cumulative for the rider.
So over
So
over the like right, not annual, they're over your whole
yeah,
life.
yeah,
Okay,
yes,
cool.
absolutely,
Yeah.
yes.
So you didn't
Um,
do 3,000 miles last year, kilometers
no,
last
no,
year.
no, no, no. That's taken me a fair while. Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
lady that I ride with has just done 20,000 kilometers, but then,
Wow.
as she puts it, it's taken her 40 years.
Goodness me. That's
Yeah,
impressive.
yeah,
That's really impressive.
very. So she's um 80 plus and is still riding with me, and we still do long distances. And she still
Oh, I
drives
love
there, and
that.
she still corrals her horse, and she still does, all the stuff. So yeah,
I love
anyone
that.
can do it. Mm.
That's brilliant. And Jenny has asked, will there be any classes in the northern regions? I did notice a couple of northern ones on that
Yeah,
slide before.
yes, there should be on that
Was
slide.
that
Can you
was
come
it
on back to the
Derbyshire?
slide? Yeah.
I'll see whether I
And
can
it
go back.
depends what you mean by north. So I'm in Cheshire, and I consider myself to be a northerner. But I fit into the Midlands group. So there's the Cheshire Frolic ride in May.
Yeah. Oh, can't
There is
move.
one at Derbyshire. And then if we do spread it out over the year a bit more, there we go. So we've got Hope High Call is Derbyshire. There's Frolic in Cheshire, and I've put Mid Northern. I'm not quite sure where that sits. And then Shuckborough Hall is Midlands-ish, so it's not far
Mm-hmm.
to travel from the north.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then there's the later on in the year, because we were looking at these to do sort of April, May. Later on in the year, they are all over the country. So there's Cumbria and Lancashire rides, and some West Yorkshire, North Yorkshire, right all the way up to the border. And then, of course, the Cirque rides, but they are later in the calendar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so night that Circus Scotland, isn't it? So
Yeah,
Nigel has also said Scottish www.scottishendurance.com for anybody interested in Scotland. I know that,
absolutely. Yeah,
yeah, so our Scottish RDO, who unfortunately couldn't join us tonight, I know that she's done an awful lot of looking into what's available in Scotland too.
yes, she
Um,
has.
yeah, she has. Yeah, so
Yeah,
anybody that's interested, obviously go to scottishendurance.com, but also there will be things on the Scottish ROR Facebook page as well. We're not
yeah.
ignoring Scotland.
No, we're not. No, and the Cirque rides are also included in the Endurance 7 series. So if you do
Mm,
one of their pleasure rides, then please claim a rosette. And if you do more, then keep claiming your distance awards. Absolutely.
cool. So CERC stands for Scottish Endurance
Riding
Riding
club.
Club. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Incidentally, that picture there is one of my favourites. So that's me on my big lad, and he's a hefty lad, my potty, as well as being tall. Um, and in front is little Alfie, who's autistic, and I escorted him on a ride. Uh, he has to have a sensible adult with him. So I don't know how I ended up with him, but so Little Pebbles there is 11.2, and we did a 40-kilometer ride that day, and there we are on the Wirral Way.
Mhm.
And so Alfie spent his time looking for markers and dinosaurs and then sharks in the sea. We had a
Oh,
fab time.
oh,
Anybody
how
can do
lovely.
it. He's 11 now, but he was 9 there.
That's lovely.
Hmm.
How nice. He's still going. That's brilliant. Um, so Jenny's just said who was asking about the north. So Jenny's just said I'm a bit further north in Newcastle. I'm aware of the Hexhamshire ride.
Oh yeah, that's a good ride. It's lovely. Yeah, yeah. So as I said, these on this provisional calendar was sort of the first ones April, May, but
Hmm.
then the season goes all the way to October. And if people are interested, I'm sure we could get other ride organisers to put on a novice foundation class for
Hmm.
RORs. Don't see
Okay,
why
so
not.
basically just get in touch with you
Yeah,
to yeah,
yeah,
okay. If there's nothing like that you can get to, then just get in touch with Anna basically.
yes, Do, and have a look on the Endurance GB website and look at events. There's a new like events calendar for this year. Just have a scroll through and see if there's any rides you fancy close to you. But then you would need to either join as a pay-as-you-go member, which is like a one-off. The problem with pay-as-you-go is that the rides open for the higher levels of membership first, and some of them tend to fill up quickly. So they open for pay-as-you-go members a week after. And for some rides, by that time, they're already full, which is a pain. And then the tier 2 and 3, the higher up tiers, you get insurance, you get obviously that earlier access to rides. So have a look at what might be suitable for you as well in terms of membership.
Mhm. And Charlotte Lottie has said, how about Hexham for the North? It's in August. It's August though, so I think
Yeah.
that kind of goes along with what you were just saying about there's other rides later on. These are the ones kind of March to May. There are other
Yes.
ones later on in the year.
Yes. And I think, given what you've said, yes, I'll have a look as well and see if we can get some ROR classes put on in the novice foundation class.
Cool.
Mm.
Marvelous. Let's just go to that one. And Shelley has said if people are wanting to see a ride in action or get some experience and see what goes on, then organisers are always looking for helpers, and it's an excellent way to learn more. So that sounds like a really good recommendation.
What a good idea.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you look at Endurance GB Facebook page, and then there will be a local group as well. If you kind of can work out which group is nearest to you and then follow their Facebook page, they will always be saying, we need more volunteers to run our ride, please come and help. So those kind of opportunities to get involved. And just even maybe go down to one for the day. The trouble with endurance is it's not a spectator sport because there's
Mm,
lots of activity at the venue. Then everybody disappears for 3 hours and there's nothing to do or look at, and then they all come back again. So it's not great for spectating. But if you fancy helping or going along, just seeing what's going on, or even just helping a rider. So,
mm.
Shelley, next time you need crew, shout up for someone. That's a way to do it as well, to learn about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nigel's said again, Harwood for first Northumberland ride.
Oh, is it? When's
Harwood.
that? I don't know. Northumberland's out of my area, so I
Mm.
tend to go south if I'm going far.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But good, yeah, good point. And that's maybe another point as well, is I tend to travel up to about 2 hours to ride away from home, because obviously that has a metabolic impact on your horse, the
Mm,
traveling time. And if it's longer than that, what we do is we stay overnight. So we, sounds mad, for a thoroughbred that's been in racing to do this, but we put up a corral. So it's normally about, I don't know, 20 foot by 20 foot. So a big stable size, electric fence. And they live in those. And they get there and they go, oh, here's my mates, and I'm just going to settle down in my little space here. And
mm,
they just settle so quickly. I was terrified the first time I took my mare, my former racehorse, to stay overnight in a corral. I just thought she's not going to do this. She did. She settled. Yeah, just took it all completely in a stride. They're just
oh,
so resilient. But
yeah,
you think
yeah.
a racehorse is not going to do that, and they do. They just ace. They love it. To them,
Oh,
they're out with the mates, chilling.
bless. So Nigel's just come back and think about Harwood and has said the 15th of March is
Cool,
that's when it's on for Northumberland.
brilliant.
So thank you, Nigel.
So,
Um,
Nigel, when does that open for entries? Can you see? Because sometimes they open quite a way ahead of when it actually takes place.
oh, it might be opening soon then, or open now.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, Sarah has said, did NF last year, stepping up to novice this year. We started a year too soon.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
So
I'm
she's
not
done
sure.
novice foundation last year,
Yeah,
and
stepping
this
up to
year,
novice this year. We started a
brilliant.
year too soon. but
Oh,
that's got
why?
a sad face next to it. I don't know.
Why?
No.
Something go wrong?
Sarah's also said Derbyshire have an introduction to competitive endurance Q&A social in person soon as well.
Oh, brilliant.
That's
That
good.
sounds good. Derbyshire are a brilliant group. I mean, I'll say Cheshire's the best, of course, but Derbyshire and Lancashire are neighbours, but they are brilliant. Their social media is brilliant, and the training days and opportunities they have as well for new riders are really good.
Oh,
We have
oh,
a WhatsApp group in Cheshire, which most other groups do, which is just a free for all for asking questions.
yeah,
No question is stupid.
yeah,
Um, really supportive group. It's just such a nice sport because everybody looks after one another, and at the
mm,
event, everybody looks after one another. We're all
mm,
rooting for each other at the awards night. It's great.
that's good. Sarah's just come back and said there was obviously a sad face in her last message because there are no ROR awards at novice level.
There's a novice championship, and that's why we're doing this step into novice series this year.
Hmm.
Because yes, you're right, there was a gap, but there is
Yeah.
the novice overall championship, which
Hmm.
is quite high to reach
Hmm.
for. So in recognition of that, I think that this will hopefully will work well. So hopefully we'll
Fingers
fix that
crossed.
problem for you.
Fingers crossed. And Charlotte's also said the crack at the venue after a ride finishes is just brilliant. Invite your friends for a picnic before you travel home. And she's also actually said that Harwood opened today.
Oh, thank you. Is that Charlotte Carr?
Yes, it is.
Hooray! Hello, Charlotte.
I know. Lovely Lottie.
Yeah, good.
Really
Yeah,
good. Right.
super. So
I
Charlotte's
think
coming back again this year. Yes.
I think that's
Oh.
everybody that we've got through.
Having said that about picnics before you go, when we do multi-day rides, we have a massive marquee and we get food and pizza ovens and a fire pit and maybe a bit of drinking and some songs. And everybody's got the dogs there. It's so like a big family gathering. And I honestly, I mean, like the lady I was talking about before, I call her my second mum, my in her 80s friend. I have honestly met friends for life through endurance, and they are
Mm.
people that if the shit hits the fan, I can rely on them to be there,
Yeah,
in my
yeah.
personal life as well as my riding life. So it's lovely. Those after riding shakedowns and in a tent are really good fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic. Oh, well, I hope everybody that joined us tonight, I hope you all have a go. We've got one more question coming in. Yeah, Charlotte. Woo, I'm back. Cannot wait to be out and about with
Hurrah!
my new baby ROR and all my club buddies. That's so nice.
Good, that is nice. Good to see you, Charlotte. Yeah.
Really lovely.
Was that Shelley that asked a question? Shelley Saunt before?
Yes, yes, it was.
Hello,
Yeah.
Shelley. Shelley is our elite endurance champion, just so you know. And she also
Ah,
won the novice series, so 2 in 1.
oh,
There you
wonderful.
go. Hurrah for Shelley and Erin's
Very
heir,
good.
Harry. Marvellous.
Very good. Okay, I am going to thank you, Anna, first of all your hard work on this. And I know that your hard work will continue throughout the year, probably trying to
It
pull all
will.
this together with us.
Yeah,
Because it is, like you said, it's not quite as simple as just doing test riding. But it's something that I really want. I want more people to have a go at within ROR for sure, because I find it fascinating. Um, and I think if I have a bit more time, I mean I can barely ride at the moment, it seems like. But if I had a bit more time, I'd certainly be having a go. But I think in a couple of years I'll you
good.
might see me out there.
Well, a pleasure ride is only a 10-mile hack. You can enjoy that knowing you've got a safe marked route, you've got people
Mm,
looking out for you. It's I mean in terms of there's first aid, there's health and safety, there's all the rest of it. If you get lost, someone will find you. Just do a pleasure ride.
yeah, absolutely. I know I've got really no excuse. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Anna.
Thank you,
I'm going
everybody.
to stop the recording now. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. And like I said, it will be sent out. The playback will be sent out tomorrow.